I have chosen to talk about divergent thinking as the theme of this evening, but from some aspects of my life in the last, whatever, 40 years or thereabouts, the professional life. So when I talk about divergent thinking, I'm going to take you to my first time when I was a young associate professor. I was about 30-year-old. And, in IIM Ahmedabad, for instance, very often we got opportunities at a relatively young age to do some very interesting things. And one thing that came my way, and along with a colleague of mine, Professor Raghuram, who was later the director recently of IIM Bangalore, the last director before Rishikesh now, we were to coordinate this program for IAS officers mainly and CEOs of road transport organizations. Now, we are 30-year-old holding primarily the entire weight of that program of senior executives, CEOs of, either there'll be IAS officers. If they were not IAS officers, they will be from the state services who would have put in 30, 35 years in the road transport organizations to become CEOs, to such experienced senior professionals, about 40 of them. What could two 30-year-old young associate professors teach that they did not know already, and command their respect and hold them for 1 week program? Now, that was the challenge looking at us in our face. I was a professor of finance. My colleague Raghuram was professor of public policy. He was closer to the field than I was. I was a functional person. I could teach finance. You asked me to teach accounting, I could teach accounting. But teaching accounting and finance is what a program for CEOs of road transport organizations is all about. So the question facing us was, what do we do and how do we do it? Now, you see, in our normal life, problems come like this. The problem will not announce itself that, okay, here's a problem for divergent thinking. Please think divergently and come out with an answer. Because you won't even know that here's a situation which calls for a divergent answer. So you have to figure out, okay, here is a challenge staring me in the face. How am I going to answer it? The conventional wisdom will tell us that, okay, go and read a lot about books on road transport organizations, management of transport companies, or read a lot more on public policy, PPP, private partnership, public partnership, and so forth. These are all the conventional methods. But if you are going to hold the program a month from today, you don't have half a lifetime to learn. You could actually spend 15 years and still be, you may need 6 months if you become a consultant with a company to understand the structure of the company. Forget about understanding the nuances of the company. So how do we engage 40 CEOs of road transport companies in the next 1 month's time was the challenge that faced us. We thought through very, very acutely, I must say, and finally came with the answer. And the answer was nothing what you would normally expect it to be. We undertook 6,500 kilometers of road journey by public bus transports over a period of 14 days in 2 tranches. In one tranche, we went all the way from Ahmedabad to the Indo-Nepal border on the east of the country, which means we traversed the entire width of the country only by road transport buses, from Ahmedabad to Indore, from Indore to Bhilwara and Ajmer, Ajmer to Delhi, Delhi to Aligarh, from Aligarh to Shikohabad to Kanpur, from Kanpur to Ghatampur and Saad and back to Kanpur, then Kanpur to Gorakhpur, Gorakhpur to Kasia, Kasia to Gopalganj, and Gopalganj to Raxaul, which was on the Nepal border. And where, of course, we undertook an international travel by cycle rickshaw because we went from India into Nepal for our dinner. But that apart, after doing that, we flew back to Ahmedabad, took a brief 3-4 days rest, and then along the west coast of India, Ahmedabad, Bombay, Bombay to Chiploon, Chiploon to Ratnagiri, Ratnagiri to Goa, Goa to Honavar, Honavar to Mangalore, Kasargod, Kannanur, Calicut, Ernakulam, all the way down to Trivandrum, and again going up to Nagarcoil, Kanyakumari, and finally to Madras. So we had done all the way down to Kanyakumari and back to Madras and then flew back. So each trip was about 3,500 and 3,000 kilometers respectively, lasting about 7 days. But logging in 6,500 kilometers gave us an understanding of road transport in India, of several states. I could count all the 14, 15 states that we had covered in the process. The state of the buses, the state of the bus stands, the kind of the passengers, the kind of the pricing points, the kind of population density traveling the roads, their problems, the cleanliness of the bus stands or the buses or the maintenance standards. I mean, we had so much data that by the time we came, we could have done a 1-month workshop for the CEOs and anybody else for that matter than just a 1-week program. We could hold the respect of all the CEOs for as long as we wanted. Nobody took a smoking break, because one usual thing the IAS officers do when they get bored in your class is they'll just simply walk out, because none of them is there by their own volition. They like to go to Harvard and MIT, not come to IIM Ahmedabad if they can help it. They come there because a joint secretary or a additional secretary or a secretary has packed them off there, and therefore they are there. So to hold their respect and command their attention for a week was possible because of this. And this was certainly a patch of a divergent thinking on our part, which not too many of us could have thought of as a way of belling that cat.